I got it, you got it. How you doing? We have to do a little a project.
I know.
Right?
You know what I realized?
What?
It's easier than I thought.
Yeah, why?
The cables, there's a camera in the main shul, right on the other side of this wall,
Oh wow.
facing that way.
Oh wow.
And the cables run all the way there and up. And I found them.
No way.
So I could use those cables to just pull through a new.
Oh, that'll be great. You have to
Mic
start
wire.
wiring everything.
Yeah, I don't have to cut open the wall and everything.
That's great.
So they're not sliced in the middle.
It's true. Well, it's a few
Don't do
cables. Power is.
Yeah, that's great. That's very good.
I'm not going to do it next week.
Yeah.
How was
It's
visiting
the
day?
22nd.
Yeah?
Short and usual.
Take out, take out.
I guess you found Alicia again.
Sleeping. It's better. Sleeping in the bed. It's like I was looking for water about.
It's been a roll.
Yours is 45 minutes or not?
Yeah, it was quick. I haven't done it
There's no like a lot of time.
1:30.
Oh,
Most of those
Okay,
is very rare is an hour shift. Very rare.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, so it took 3 hours.
They
Took
do
3 hours.
They have to,
Yeah,
have to be geared up.
Geared
I
up.
mean, no one's on the road. It just wasn't like if you're on a Sunday morning.
No one was on the road.
I'm saying it like moved. It wasn't like we never got stopped
Oh,
at any points. And then
that's just a trip.
the trip, yeah. And then it's like 3 hours. Like 6:30. What time you guys have leaving?
Were you yelling at me? Or?
I'm sure the vocal cord.
What's that?
It's my vocal cord. I need voice therapy. I will take it in like 3 hours. And yeah. I said to Charlotte. I said like, if there's smear, it's in the kids, isn't it? Right. Well,
It counts as
it's
separate.
the hazards. So that's why I'm like, let's go, isn't it? Sure. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. We told you to come out as well. Take you out for lunch. Well, like, okay, take you to Walmart. Especially
All the essentials.
yeah, went to lunch, Walmart, drop my head off. Gets to the camp. Looks like a camp. I don't know.
I always said it's like, weird.
It's fine.
Everybody thinks.
Those punks that were around president. It's like, come up on a Sunday and do their jobs and
Contracts in that week.
we need it right now.
As long as it's shared. fits for the whole time. Yeah.
Same with you all night.
Right. They got enough people?
Giving everyone a lot of credit to hold on.
No, I'll hold on to it. Thank you. Smart people won't show up a second time, so. Sorry? Start?
Yeah, we're recording the live.
Oh,
This is it.
Learning should be a schus for, obviously, us, and Mishpachas and Klal Yisrael, but in particular, especially the Indian that we're learning about, Bez Hashem, so it should be a schus for Achenu and Kol Beis Yisrael, Hanasunim Batzar Bashivya, it should be a schus for Klal Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael. And this 3 weeks Shiur shouldn't come to fruition in America. It should hopefully be Churban Yerushalayim B'Karav. And even before the end of tonight's Shiur, we should all be in this room with all of Klal Yisrael. There's a term that we all know, Shchinta B'Galusa, that the Shechin is in Galus. And although we speak so often about the fact that we need the Geula, we need Mashiach, which we do, we need the Beis HaMikdash, we need the Kapar, we need everything that we're missing that we don't have from then, but we know Shchinta B'Galusa, and which means that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in Galus. HaKadosh Baruch Hu being in Galus sounds odd because if Hashem's in Galus and Hashem could do anything, he could take himself out of Galus. So if he put himself in Galus, if he created this thing called Galus, he could also take himself out. But the idea is that when Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world, Hashem created the world because he wanted us to connect to him. Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted us to be misdabik and to connect to Kadosh Baruch Hu and to go in his ways and to be makir him. And all the different lashonos of what we learned. But Hashem wanted us to be Oseh Ritzono, to do his will. And when we're not Oseh Ritzono, whether it was Bayis Rishon and Gimel Chamuros, the 3 cardinal sins, we lost Bayis Rishon. Bayis Sheni, Sinas Chinam, we don't have Bayis Sheni. And the Tzad HaShavah being is that the Tachlis HaBriya, the reason why we were created, we weren't living up to that, so we don't have the Beis HaMikdash. So Shchinta B'Galusa is like when a father wants his child to do something and the child's not listening. And not that the parent is punishing the child, not that the parent wants to get back at the child, but there's nothing that the parent wants more than the child doing what's right, than the child living a fulfilling and meaningful life, than the child doing what's good for the child. And when the child's not doing what's good for the child, that pains the parent. Even more than it pains the child. Like we all know. So Shchinta B'Galusa is not that Hashem is putting himself in Galus. In essence, we are putting our Kodesh Baruch Hu in Galus. Because when we had the Beis HaMikdash, when we were being Oseh Ritzono, then the Shekhinah was here. In its full Hiskalus, as it was in the Beis HaMikdash. But by us not going in the ways that we're supposed to, so that's Shchinta B'Galusa. So the Gemara says, and we learn from a pasuk in Navi, that now that we're in Galus, so what are we supposed to be doing? And the Gemara learns from a pasuk, Tzion hidorei shein la mechlau debayi drisha. Mechlau debayi drisha means that we're supposed to be we should be doresh Tzion. We should be doresh Tzion. Want Tzion. We should be demanding Tzion. We should be davening for Tzion. Mechlau debayi drisha. It's an interesting term. We speak about the gaguim, we speak about the cheshik, we speak about the wanting and the yearning for the gula. But dorei shein la mechlau, we learn from there that the bayi drisha, that it needs drisha. It's like, what time did I start? I always take a watch, but I never remember when I start, so it doesn't help. What time did we start?
10 to.
Okay, 48. It's fine. So what does it mean mechlau de bayi drisha? We're supposed to be doresh tzil. Now this is not a speech. So at any point, if anybody has what to say, If anybody has a maisa, ha'ara, question, correction, please. It'll make it much easier for me and much easier for you. So what does it mean that it's Tzion Hidorish in love? So number one, none of us were by Bayis Rishon physically. None of us were by Bayis Sheni. None of us were in Yerushalayim B'Sefarto. We weren't there. So it's very hard, and everyone's read and spoken about this many times. It's very hard to really want something that you never were there. If you never had a chocolate chip cookie, you heard about it, so you want it. But once you taste one, and then you don't have one, then you really want it. We say in the Zmiras, Hama'achim Latzeis Min HaShabbos, U'Memarim Lava. Hama'achim Latzeis Min HaShabbos. Klal Yisrael loves Shabbos so much that they're ma'acher. They delay Shabbos. Delay meaning we keep late Shabbos because we want to hold on to it. And we love Shabbos so much, Ma'arim Lava, we make early Shabbos. We take it on early because we love Shabbos. It's out of order. You should think it should be first we start Shabbos early, Ma'arim Lava, and then Ma'achim Latzeis. So why do we flip the order? Some Farshim say because Klal Yisrael was first introduced to Shabbos, that Shabbos number one, they didn't know what Shabbos was, they never had it. So they started Shabbos whenever they were supposed to. And once Shabbos started, it was the most delicious thing they ever had. Shabbos. So they ended late. They held on to it as long as they could. They finished late. They made time. By the next Shabbos rolled around, they knew what Shabbos was. So it was Memarim level. So they started early. So Ma'achim Latzeis Min HaShabbos happened first. First Shabbos they ended late. Then it was Memarim level. Until you taste something you don't know. So we weren't there. That's Pshat Dorei Shein. When Chazal tell us that we have to seek out the Beis HaMikdash, we should want Yerushalayim, we should have feelings and yearnings for the Geula. The Lashon uses Dorei Shein. You have to learn about it. Because we don't know. What is a carbon? What is Beis HaMikdash? What is Yerushalayim in its glory? What did the Beis HaMikdash look like? Part of the tain on Klal Yisrael, or the demand on Klal Yisrael, that we should be davening for Yerushalayim is also learn about what was Yerushalayim. That's Dorish. It's Lashon of Drasha. It's Darshan. We have to learn about it to know about it. And we learn about it. One person learns a Pasuk in Navi, one learns a Maimer Chazal, one learns a Rashi, one learns a Rishon, one learns an Achron, one learns a Lekutei Moharan, one learns a Yalka Lekach Tov, and that touches his neshama, and he learns about it, and then the Gaguim build. Hamanti Ki Adaber. The more we learn about it, the Gaguim grow. Gemara also says, we know in Sanhedrin, that when a person goes to Bezdin, when you have Eidim in Bezdin, so that there's Drisha v'Chakira. Drisha v'Chakira is an interrogation. Tzion Hidori Shein. My father, Zechatzal Gavracha, used to always say, imagine you have a businessman, and he's been trying very hard, trying always to get that deal, the deal of a lifetime. He's always having a hard time paying his bills. And then finally, after 15 years in the business, always struggling to cover his bills at the end of the month, the deal comes in. He just has to fly to the airport, sign it at a conference room. He's going to sign the contract. He's going to get the check. Mamash, he can retire off that one check. So he flies in, goes to the conference room. The meeting's starting in 5 minutes. And all of a sudden, an announcement comes over the PA system in the airport. All flights are being diverted to Jerusalem. The Messiah has come. All Jews everyone's being sent to Yerushalayim. So this guy was waiting 15 years. He never fully paid tuition yet. He owed every school money. He never once had a month of menucha. Now he's about to become an usher. And now Mashiach comes. So what's his reaction going to be? Mashiach, it took you 2,500 years to come. You couldn't wait 5 more minutes? Now you had to come? Or is he going to say, Gewaldik? Tzion Hidori Shein is we have to do a Drisha v'Chakira on ourselves, an interrogation on ourselves. Do we want it? Do we want the Geula? So Shechinte b'Galusa, when the Shechina is in Galus, the Shechina is in Galus is because it was when a father sent a child away from home. If for whatever reason the child had to leave home, but what does the parent want? That even if the child's away, does he want to see me? When I reach out to him, does he answer my phone calls? Does he answer my messages to him? Or he's happy being away. It doesn't even hurt the child that I've sent him away. So when the parent begrudgingly has to send the child away, and then the child's okay, that's Shechina Begalusa. That's the pain of the Shechina that we're fine. That's the pain of the Shechina that Bnei Yisrael are supposedly being punished now, and we're happy. Now imagine when there used to be a concept of sending your kids to the room. Now you can get arrested for it. But if you send your kid to your room, and it's supposed to be a punishment, I'm not saying that that's a good or bad thing. It's something that was done in the 1900s, and you send the kids to the room, and then so often the kid cries, they want to come out. When can I come out? Now you send the kid to the room, don't hear from them for 4 hours. Okay, you can come out. No, I don't want to. So the punishment doesn't even work. It's Dorish Engla. Supposedly it's a punishment, but we don't even feel it. It's so nice. I'm thinking to myself, I have coffee and I have a mezainis. Oh, Taka, we need a Beis HaMikdash. It's a Dorish Engla. It's a Dorish Engla. It's a Mechlav de Boya Jerisha. So what is the Beis HaMikdash? What is Galus? That's also part of Galus. Because there's so many different Mahalchim, whether it means picking up and moving there right away. Your Rebbe told you to, your Rebbe told you, your Rebbe told you to, so you move. Or another person makes a cheshbon, it doesn't make sense parnas, and have mishpacha. Then you have everything in between. And everybody wants to do what's right, but is there a way? Is there mahalach? Is Echad Amar B'Chazal always teach us, Echad Amar B'Echad HaMamid, V'avad She'yachavin Li B'Lishamayim. Echad Hamarba, whatever Marba is here, V'Echad HaMamid, whatever Mamid is here, V'avad She'yachavin Li B'Lishamayim. The Kavanah has to be L'Shem Shemayim, for the Shechina. The Shechina is the one who wants us, and we want the Shechina. And if our Kavanah is there, and it could be we're living in Woodmere, or it could be we're living in Har Nof, but Echad Amar B'Echad HaMamid, V'avad She'yachavin Li B'Lishamayim, but our heart has to be L'Shemayim. I just saw today a person was responding to actually a Maisa, and they were saying how they're living in Yerushalayim, but they're still wanting to be in Yerushalayim. They're physically there, but they're not there. They were looking around a restaurant, and it was just the reflection of that sometimes we could be somewhere, but are we even there? So we could be in Hanof and also not being there, and we could be here and be 100% there. So what's the right mahalach? So everybody follows, obviously, their Rabbanim, and their Chasidus, and their Rosh Yeshiva. But Echad Hamar B'Echad Hamamid V'Vad She'yachavin Libo is Lashamayim, because this is for the Shechina. It's not personal, it's the Shechina, it's for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the famous mice with the Baba Rebbe. Baba Rebbe was at the Baba Rebbe's Levaya. At Baba Rebbe's Raya, I think I may even I said it in the past, but at the Baba Rebbe's Levaya, there was an Ein Yehudi there who was crying. There was an Andrew there who was crying. Somebody said to him, "You knew the rabbi?" He says, "I knew the rabbi." "How do you know the rabbi?" He says, "I'll tell you how I knew the rabbi." He says, "I'm a painter." He says, "And one day I was hired to come paint the house, and I show up, and it's none other than the grand rabbi, Reb Shlomo, the Baba Rebbe. So I was ready as usual to start my job, and he says, "I'd like to speak to you first." I said, "Okay, here comes the speech. I want it perfect, I want it perfect, and this, that." He said, "Did you eat breakfast yet?" I said, "No." So he sat me down, he gave me something to eat, he gave me something to drink. And then he said to me, he said, "You know, I'm part of the Jewish people, as you could tell, and we used to have a temple. And that temple that we used to have was perfect. But we lost that temple. And ever since we lost that, there's nothing in this world that's perfect. When you paint my house, I'm sure you'll make it nice. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect. Because we Jews, we don't have anything perfect. Now." And that's how he started me off in his job. The total opposite of every other job I've ever done. He said shortly after that I was at another job, and the man started telling me how nice he wants, and I said to him, No, you're part of the Jewish people. Nothing's perfect." That's how I got to know the Baba Rebbe. It's what we were once learning the singing of Gaguim for the Beis HaMikdash. So in a class, I said to the kids, there's a lot of stories of people who have a backpack for the Geula. So what the significance of that is, halachically, I don't know. Are we going to have time to pack, not have time to pack? Is everything going to be there for us? Anaf kamina. But the people who care enough, they don't wait for the shot. They take care of that. They have the bag just in case. So there are people, maybe even in this room, who have their Mashiach bag packed that for when, in Mitzvah Shem, when the Gula comes, they have a bag, the essentials. So one boy raised his hand and he said, yeah, my father has one also. My father has a bag. It's a beautiful thing. His father wasn't a grand rabbi of any kehila, a Pasha Yid, a Zisa Yid, and he had his bag packed. A week or two later, we had this class again. Then the kid raised his hand and he says, now I have a bag packed. So he has it back. So we should all be zeicha that in addition to have our bags packed, but we should be traveling with them soon. With the Geula, with Klal Yisrael. I just heard, Jeff told me this morning, or yesterday, he saw by Rav Biederman. I didn't see the pamphlet, this past week's pamphlet from Rav Biederman. He says a beautiful pshat, we say the Gemara says, Kriyas Yamsuf, Parnasa, is kasha Parnasasa Shaladam ka Kriyas Yamsuf. It's kasha, it's difficult. Zivugin Shaladam, but Parnasa, kasha is kasha by Hashem, Parnasa, Zivugim. What does it mean? A lot of ink was spilled in this, a lot of beautiful many pshatim. He says a beautiful pshat. He says, we know that we have Shmini Atzeres. Shmini Atzeres, after a whole Yom Tov, what's Shmini Atzeres? The regal b'fnei atzma that one day. So Chazal say that after Hashem spent an entire Yom Tov with us, it's a mashal to a melech who makes a party, and he had a party with everybody. And the last day, he says to his closest people, "Ikfu alai oid yom echad." If you could just stay back one day, it was very tumultuous the whole Yom Tov. It was beautiful, but I want one more day with you. I can't possibly part with you. I don't want to leave you. I don't want you to leave me. So Shmini Atzeres, ne'etzar, to hold back, ikvu alai, please stay back. Od yom echad, one day, k'dei she'ena aniva atem, so we could have enough from one another, so we could spend time. That's Shmini Atzeres. Kosha alai pridaska. Parnasa shidduchim probably make the list of the 10 most, or the 2 most davened for items. Parnasa, shidduchim are pretty much at the top. And it means that when we daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so Hashem hears from us. And when we have that need, so we have that relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But then what happens? So we finish marrying off the kid. Or then we win the lottery. Parnas is good. So then we stop. So kasha, zivugin shaladam kekriyas yamsev. Kasha is kasha from Shmini Atzeres, from Pridaska. Hashem says because Kolzman they needed Parnasa, Kolzman that they had the need for shidduchim, I heard from them every day, 3 times a day, sometimes 4 or 5 or 6, sometimes all day. But then as time went on, they didn't need it anymore. That's kasha by Kodesh Baruch Hu. That the relationship is not there anymore. Kasha, alai pridaschem, that prayed. And therefore, Galus is that same kasha alai pridaschem. The prayed that we're not with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shchenta begalusa is kasha to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So with that in mind, as we start to learn, that was also learning, but learning different Maimari Chazal or different psukim or different inyanim, but also the focus could be on the Shechina. It's not only that we need the Gula, which we do, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it. He wants it more than us. He's been around every generation that's been asking for it. And he has to be the one that said no to every generation. How many generations came and went? Heisenberger Rebbe, when he was during the Holocaust, so when the Americans came in and they were liberated, although he was so bitzar during the Holocaust, and he was tortured, and he was sick, and read about it, you'll see the terrible tsaras that he went through, which were nar v'ayim. But when he saw that it was the Americans that came in, he had a tsar. I don't know if it was greater than or equal to, and he cried out to Shema, and he says, American soldiers? I thought this was all going to end. It could only end one way, with the Geula. And when he went through such a terrible tsar, and he was saved from it, and it still wasn't the Geula, that was a pain that he couldn't even take. So we should be zeicha to see the Kleisenberg Rebbe soon alive and well in Gesund. See all the Rebbes, the time of Tchias HaMeis and the time of the Geula. Let's start on page 1. Kosev Shalach Kodesh. Sorry, I didn't make enough. Huh? Okay, you continue. Go. Yeah.
I'm going to send it in the chat.
Shgar.
Are you posting it, Jay?
I'm going to post it right
Thank
here.
Kosev Shalach Kodesh b'sem Sefer Charedim. The Shalah writes in the name of the Sefer Charedim. Kosev Rambam b'minin Tarek Mitzvah. Mitzvahs Yeshivas Eretz Yisrael. The mitzvah of dwelling in the land of Eretz Yisrael. Kol Aish v'rega she'adam be'Eretz Yisrael u'mekayim ha'mitzvah hazu. So a lot of attention is given to the Ramban. He's the one who holds, and many other Rishonim, many other Achronim, that the mitzvah say is alive and strong today. Going to Eretz Yisrael, living in Eretz Yisrael, the mitzvah of Yeshivas Eretz Yisrael. But not only that says the Shalah, but it's every single moment. Kol Aish v'rega she'adam be'Eretz Yisrael. Every moment that a person's in Eretz Yisrael, u'mekayim ha'mitzvah hazu, he's fulfilling the mitzvah of being in Eretz Yisrael. He's fulfilling the mitzvah. He writes further, forgetting this mitzvah, any mitzvah, the ikus char of a mitzvah is when al hasimcha hagedayla. If a person does the mitzvah, but they do it happy, they do it that they want to do it, they do it excited to do a mitzvah, they do it that they feel that they're lucky that they have the opportunity to fulfill eating matzah, shaking the lulav, learning Torah, davening. Gedichsev, a pasuk in the Torah, tachas eshelo vanatas Hashem lokecha b'simcha. The tochacha, the punishments come upon Klal Yisrael. Why tachas? Because ashlo vanatas Hashem lokecha. We didn't serve Hashem. The simcha with joy. It doesn't say we didn't serve Hashem. We served Hashem. It doesn't say ashlo vanatas Hashem lokecha. You didn't serve Hashem. We served Hashem, but it wasn't b'simcha. The Mepharshim say because if a person truly realized who they were serving, if we realize the beauty of the opportunity of what we have to do of serving Hashem, which is the tachas habriya, which is the purpose of why we're here. Every single mitzvah we do is nitzchiyas, is eternity. That there would be no way that we wouldn't serve Hashem b'simcha. One of my favorite stories, and I apologize if I said it, I apologize. A Maisa Rav, by the way, a Maisa the Gemara, it was a Machlekes Amoraim, it brings out a story, we pass on like that shita with the Maisa. Because a Maisa means that it went from just being hypothetical in a discussion to a Maisa, to actual. So, my biggest sin should be if I repeat a story, but I'm sorry to bore you if it's at the tip of your mind. But there's a mice in Yerushalayim during the poor early 1900s when there was a lot of poverty there. So one family in particular, they had a bunch of kids, and the mother would give her kids to eat every single day. One bowl of food. Whatever she could get, chickpeas, rice, beans, whatever she could get her hands on, she would cook up for them. And that's what she would cook. They would all sit around the table. She'd give them each one bowl of food. Zecho. That was their food for the day. So one day she's giving each child their bowl of food. And there's a knock at the door. One of the little boys, Yaakov, he goes to the door. He answers the door and he sees there's a poor man at the door and a hungry poor man. He's starving. He has no food. Yerushalayim, then it was mamish starvation. There were people who were starving. Without thinking twice, he went back to the table. He took the bowl that his mother just gave him, and he gave it to the man. So later in the day, the mother, when she said to her little boy, Yankala, I'm so proud of you for what you did. I'm so proud of what you did. But I have nothing more to give you. What are you going to eat? You're going to be hungry. A mother to a child, to see her child go hungry. What are you going to eat? So the little 5-year-old said back to his mother, he says, Mama, you're right. I'm going to be hungry. But if I would have eaten the bowl of food, I would have it, and then it would be gone. But now that I gave my bowl to that man, now I have that bowl forever. Now I have that bowl forever. The little 5-year-old, he grew up eventually to be Rav Yaakov Galinsky. I mean, he was him then already, but that was Rav Yaakov Galinsky as a 5-year-old. And that's every moment that we have the opportunity to be Bolcher Bato, which is every single second of our life. Whether it's to yell now or to be calm, daven or not daven, be mechaven or not be mechaven. And all the opportunities of the 24/7 life of a Yid. We have ubacharta b'chaim, the ability to choose life. And when we make that decision in that moment, to be Bolcher, right now I'm going to try to do the Ratzon Hashem when I could have done the opposite, or I could have been parv and done nothing. And I choose to do something good. So I've fulfilled my tachlis in that moment. I've taken a moment which could have been a passing moment, and I've frozen it for eternity. L'netzach. I have that forever. And that's not just with that bowl of soup of that hungry boy. But it's any time we make a decision to do the right thing. We were going to say something of Bekaptanis. We were going to possibly listen to something of Lashon Hara, and we didn't. We have that forever. When we realize that that's the life we're living, then it brings the greatest simcha upon a person. If we made $1 million, we'd be happy. Although the million comes and goes, kal v'chomer, something that's here forever, an eternal investment, of course we'd be happy. If we knew be'emes who we were serving and what we can accomplish, there'd be no way to not be besimcha. Is tachas shelo vadatis Hashem lokecha besimcha. If we didn't serve Hashem with simcha, it's a sin we weren't serving Hashem. Because if we were serving Hashem, then there's no greater joy. The joy doesn't have to be we're jumping up and we're dancing, although of course that is a way of showing joy. But joy meaning that feeling inside of knowing that what I just did is the greatest thing in the world. That I was given the greatest opportunity, and thank you Hashem for that. That's simcha. So if that's the case, being in Eretz Yisrael every moment, so someone who lives in Eretz Yisrael has to be lios sameach tadir b'mitzvaso hatadir ba'avasosa. So he has to be sameach, tadir constantly, b'mitzvaso hatadir ba'avasosa. The fact that he has the ability to be in Eretz Yisrael, which is a kiyum ha-mitzvah of yeshivas Eretz Yisrael. V'gam tzarech lios yari v'charid. On the other hand, he also has to have a certain level of pachad. He's ba'armona shel melech, he's in the palace of the king. He's in Hashem's place. Asher tavad einei Hashem elokecha, but it's mamash Hashem's home. So he has to have the proper pachad. K'dechsev Rav Shimon Bar Yochai Tikun Izar Tikun Yod, he writes, Kol pekuda d'laviu b'rachimu d'chilu. Any mitzvah that we don't have the proper level of pachad, alav pekidi, but no pachad in the sense of knowing to whom we're serving, and who it is that we're fulfilling the mitzvah for, and why we're doing it. So step aleph is that the mitzvah is alive and well, and it's every single moment we're there. And what is simcha? What is simcha that a yid can have the opportunity to do that? To be in the palace of Hashem and to be able to fulfill a mitzvah every single moment is a opportunity. And being that it's an opportunity, so if a person, even if they can't go there, but a person wants to be there, they have those feelings that they want to get there. So the Melech knows that. The child can't come home, and the child's been away, and they call home, and they're trying to organize a way home. And the parent misses the child. If the child comes home and says, I don't think I can make it, have a good Shabbos, hurts the parent. I'm trying, I was spending 2 days on the phone trying to get a ride, I can't. The parent knows that the child wants to be home. So then we're there. We're there, b'leiv, rachmana liba bay. Kodesh Baruch Hu is yedei machshavas, and if there's a leiv there, then we're with the rachmana, then we're with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Next, Yeshivas Eretz Yisrael Shkula Kineged Kol HaMitzvahs. So, living in Eretz Yisrael, being in Eretz Yisrael, even maybe just walking there, is equal to all the mitzvahs in the Torah. Isa b'Tosefta is Yishra Adam b'Eretz Yisrael. A person should dwell in Eretz Yisrael. Afilu b'Ir Shur B'Gayim, like the Mishnah Ksubis, even in a city that's majority non-Jews, better off than v'lo b'Chutzlaretz afilu b'Ir Shur Kula Yisrael. Even better off than being in Chutzlaretz, in a place that's a majority Yisraelim. Because the Torah teaches us melamed sheyeshivas Eretz Yisrael shkula kineged kol hamitzvos shebetorah. That dwelling in Eretz Yisrael is equal to all the mitzvahs of the Torah. Even more so, we'll learn, I don't know about this week, but Bezos Hashem, that even the mitzvahs have a whole different level when they're the mitzvahs of Eretz Yisrael. So much so that Chazal say, and Rashi brings down that the mitzvahs we do in Chutz La'aretz are really only to prepare us so we should know how to do them when we get to Eretz Yisrael. Makes you feel real good, right? We're only it's chinuch for all of us. So when we go to Eretz Yisrael, and we become chayivim, it's Israeli, so we know how to do it. Obviously, that's taught in beer, but continue doing mitzvahs, by the way. You should continue doing all mitzvahs. Cover Eretz Yisrael, anyone who's buried in Eretz Yisrael, kilu cover tachas mizbeach. It's like the cover other than mizbeach. Mizbeach kapar, it's a kapar for them. Ubesefri, the Sefri, Dvarim, Parshas Rei, Piscopeia, Alapasuk, V'yirashtem, Esav, Yishaftem Ba, Shmartem Asers, Kol Chukim Eila, Amru, Chazal say, Yeshivas Eretz Yisrael, Shkula Kineged Kol Mitzvahs Torah. So it's equal to all the mitzvahs of the Torah. So it means if a person goes to Eretz Yisrael, and they sit on the couch and they do nothing, so they get all the mitzvahs? So let's learn on. Shulchan Aruch Arachayim Reish Memches. Hayotim B'Shayel, let's say a person's going out on a caravan, the person's going out the midbar into the desert. And they know that they're going to have to be Machal Shabbos. because they're not going to be able to stay by themselves once Shabbos hits. It's dangerous to travel by yourself in the midbar. Animals, no water, dangerous people. So Gimel Yom Kodesh Shabbos, famous halacha, if it's 3 days before Shabbos, Asur Mlatis, you can't go. Because since you know that this trip will necessitate Chilul Shabbos, and it's 3 days before Shabbos, and those days already we are required to prepare ourselves that we should be able to fulfill Shabbos in the proper way. So you can't go. Yom Rishon, V'Sheni, V'Shlishi, but on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, Mutter Latzai said it's permitted for him to go. If when Shabbos comes, he's in a state of sakana, Shabbos, and he's going to have to be Machal Shabbos, but maybe Koach Nefesh, because otherwise it would be dangerous. So then Mutter, then it would be Mutter. And he can stay with the trip, and he can travel even on Shabbos. Ben Kan Chil, that's not called Chilo, and that would be Mutter. That's Stammet trip. Stammet trip, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, were much more Mekel than Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. V'ha'olel Eretz Yisrael, but a person who's going to Eretz Yisrael, in Vizdamna lo Shayar. So let's say he's trying to find a ride. He's trying to get a caravan. He's traveling donkeys or camels, and he's going to Eretz Yisrael, and he finds one. Afilu Erev Shabbos, even if they're leaving to start the trip on Erev Shabbos, on a Friday, he knows for sure he's going to be traveling to Shabbos, and he's within 3 days before Shabbos, it's Erev Shabbos. Keeping the Dvar Mitzvah, since it's a Dvar Mitzvah, he's going to Eretz Yisrael, Yachol Livrosh, he can go with it. Baru Postik Imam says that by Yosef he should make up with the head of this caravan. Lishvos said they should rest on Shabbos. I'd like to go with you, but please rest on Shabbos. If after they leave, and it comes Shabbos, and then the head of this caravan, and they say, no, we're not resting, so then he can continue traveling with them, although it's going chutz l'tchum, although there's chilul Shabbos, pikuach nefesh, because it's pikuach nefesh. And once that's the case, even though normally when a person leaves a tchum and Shabbos and they get to a city, they can't go more than Daled Amos. But at this point, since it was mutter for him to go, Mahalach is kula, he could walk the entire city. Even if they leave him outside the city. And he then, he wants to then go into the city. Mutter, it's permissible to keep it the Devar Mitzvah Nafak, since he went out for a mitzvah because he was going to Eretz Yisrael. Yeshlo Alpai, Imam Al-Charuach, he has 2,000 amos in all directions. Says the Rambam, Yeshomer, there are those who hold Shekol Malkim Shadam Holech L'Schorah. If the reason why he's traveling is for Parnasa, the reason why he's traveling is for business-related reasons. Oliros Pnei Chavero, to see somebody, Pnei Chavero, he's going to see his friend. Then Chashav Hakol, Dvar Mitzvah, it's all considered a Dvar Mitzvah. Ben a Chashav Dvar Rishus, it's not considered a Dvar Rishus. That would be called a Dvar Mitzvah. Parnasa is a Mitzvah. Yagia Kapecha Kisochel, Ashrecha V'Tovach. Sing another Yid. It's a Mitzvah. Rakish Halach L'Tayel, but if he's going Stam on a trip, he's being Mitayel, he's going on a journey, he's going Stam on a cruise, then that's when it has a different set of halachas. And that's why there is room for leniency. When people do leave on ships and people do go in caravans within 3 days, it's all considered a mitzvah. One should not be moche, one should not protest in front of those. They have whom to rely on. Okay. Says the Mishnah Berurah, all Eretz Yisrael, person going to Eretz Yisrael. Some say, that which we say going to Eretz Yisrael is a mitzvah, and therefore you could travel even on Erev Shabbos. That's only if you're going to live there. If you're going to live there, then the halach is you could travel even Erev Shabbos. But the Yesham Zak the Mishnah Berurah Zak the Chavetz Chaim, even if he's going with the intention of returning, he's going to visit his kids, he's going for whatever reason, and he plans on coming back, the halach is even then, it's considered a mitzvah, and it's considered something that he can even leave on an Erev Shabbos. Why? Hilach Daled Amos. Hilach Bahilach Daled Amos Nami have a mitzvah. To just go there to walk Daled Amos is a mitzvah. But Frat Lamit, Mashahaka Ramah B'Sof HaSimin B'Ramah, Vada de Gamzehu B'Chlal Dvar Mitzvah. B'Chlal, according to the Ramah, who's Mekel, going to see a friend, going for business, B'Chlal, he's Mekel in what qualifies as a Dvar Mitzvah. Kal V'Chomer. For a person who's traveling to Eretz Yisrael, which is being there to walk Daled Amos is a mitzvah, person would even be able to leave on an Erev Shabbos, which is why also even people who don't travel during the 9 days, when it comes to going to Eretz Yisrael, it takes on a whole different set of halachas. You should ask your local Orthodox rabbi about that. whatever for halacha l'maisa, but another mashal to this idea that going to Eretz Yisrael has its own set of rules.
So Ramaho said, even going to visit.
With regard to Eretz Yisrael?
Yeah.
The Rama is not talking about Eretz Yisrael. The Mishabur says he brings down a Yeshomrim that even if your mom is going to visit and you have return tickets, that's still going on Erev Shabbos. You can go. Any Haaretz, I've been talking a long time. No? Am I say something? You haven't been. When were you ever so quiet? Okay.
Why is it? Why is it the Mishnah hold that way? What's the Indian? And you're leaving. You're coming back.
Oh.
Even if you're walking down and you're going to return. It doesn't matter. I mean, why is that? What's the Indian?
Because even the person moving there, why is he moving? He's moving to fulfill the mitzvah of Yeshiva Eretz Yisrael.
I understand.
We hold that even being there and just walking down Amos is a kiyum, is a fulfillment of that mitzvah. Living there long term is a bigger mitzvah, but even just being there for 5 minutes is also a mitzvah. It's also a mitzvah.
Right.
You know, the sad stories of the tzaddikim who yearn their whole life to get in, they get in, then they were trampled. The terrible ma'isa, but they fulfilled the mitzvah. That's the nechama, at least. Obviously, for whatever reason, that was Ratzon Hashem. But they fulfilled the mitzvah of Yeshiva Eretz Yisrael. It's not like the dream wasn't fulfilled.
How long do you live there to be yet to that mitzvah?
What?
How long do you have to live there to be yet to that mitzvah? Is it a one check box mitzvah? Or to live there for
No, so the Shalah, that's what we saw in the beginning. The Shalah says from the Charedim, the Ramban, Chol Eis v'Chol Rega. Every moment that you're there, it's a kiyum of the mitzvah. Chol Eis v'Chol Rega.
So visiting is, you already go to the mitzvah.
Read the Lashon again. Kol Eis v'Rega she'adam be'Eretz Yisrael hu mekayim ha'mitzvah hazu. Every moment that he's there, he's fulfilling the mitzvah. As you're eating that Israeli breakfast, you're fulfilling the mitzvah. The best of both worlds. Halavai the Gagur. They go, we come back to Eretz Yisrael, so they have those Israeli. You got me thinking about the breakfast now. So when you come back to Eretz Yisrael, after they have those fancy breakfasts. So I remember I came home after the first time. I always heard about it. I never saw it though. I came back and it was after davening. I go home for breakfast. There's nothing out. I had to go to the cabinet and get out cereal and milk. This is breakfast. What kind of breakfast is this? We should be Zaycha very soon to Suda Shlomo B'Shaita with the Melech. With the Melech Suda. Yasan. Sharabar.
That's why it's so difficult. You say that you start off by saying that you should. The more you talk about it, the more you miss it. But you can talk about the Israeli breakfast all day, unless you've experienced it. You're not going to miss it.
I talk about it. It's not so.
Okay, the Israeli breakfast is not so big deal. But,
Yeah.
We're talking about the idea of Mashiach, the idea of Kibbutz Aoche.
Yeah.
All that stuff. You can talk about it all day and all night. But it's different when you're experiencing it. So you could give the example like, so how's it working out? We've been talking about it for thousands of years. So how's it working out?
As well, working out, building up those feelings.
Yeah.
Hamanti ki adaber. The more we talk about it, and you learn about it, and you learn about Beis Hamikdash and Karbanos, and you learn about the mitzvah.
I know we say that, but how's it working out?
I think that's a question everyone has to ask themselves. I can't answer it for you.
How's it working out in Klal Yisrael?
Explain what. Meaning, why is it not bringing the gula?
Yeah, I mean, why is everybody yearning for it? Why aren't we? What's the?
Why are we still here?
Yeah.
Or better yet, if we really possible like this, then what are we doing? If really we possible like this, how do we have a right to stay here? At the end of the day, can we physically go? Yeah, we go get our plane and go. So why are we not? Why are we building masjids and mikvahs and houses?
Who asked for this, Rabbi?
You couldn't ask.
I'm saying, at the end of the day, the love of
You're quiet the whole thing. I'm ending in 3 minutes. You had it. It's like the PA system announcing.
You asked for it.
Yeah. Thanks for the easy one. Yeah. Now, we'll learn. I mean, right now we're up to Rav Moshe. Right away, he's going to put a spin on it. From what we'll see from Rav Moshe Feinstein and Igdos Moshe. But even before that, obviously, it's helpful to learn the extent of what. Well, it's actually 2 different questions. So, hold on, I was about to go to yours, but then I looked back and I managed to remember it. So I think what you're asking is it's not really a question that there's an answer to. I think it's what you really just did by asking that. That's the gagum that we all have. And we say what you're saying is exactly what we're learning. It's like, yeah, that's the feeling that we all have. It's been so long. It's been HaKadosh Baruch Hu, where is it?
This just came back from Eretz Yisrael, right? I know when I'm in Eretz Yisrael, I feel like a different person. But somebody who's never been to Eretz Yisrael, how do you explain it? So when we talk about we want the Geula, and we want the Shekhinah to really.
You think a person who never went?
How do you really act? If you've never, we can talk about it all day, but that's not the same thing as experiencing it.
Keep in mind that even a person going to Eretz Yisrael now, and even the feelings that you have, which are Kodesh,
but even that,
and those feelings are Kodesh Kodashim. Even that, we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. Shekhinah is in Galus. Every Jew in Eretz Yisrael is in Galus.
Right.
We're in Galus. So even that, which is Gavaldik. So how about the Yid who was never able to go? And he couldn't go. He had certain hergeshim here. He had certain gaguim here. He had his connection. Like we started. Echad hamar v'echad hamamed. And the one who could go should go. And the one who can't go does what he does. Comes to tzedakah. One guy gives $4.5 million to tzedakah a year. One guy gives 25 cents. And they're each doing as much as they can. What's going to be with this Yid? He just gave 25 cents. What's going to be with him? You know what's going to be with him? He's getting out of the ma'abah for that 25 cents in a very big way. Everyone has. So there's no one right way or wrong way. In this regard, yes. See, he went and he fulfilled the mitzvah. He was there at Dalet Amos, yes, with that regard. But the yearning is there by both. Sorry.
No, we can go back and forth constantly.
Somebody up to answer it.
I hope the answer comes very soon from above. Bakarev. Yeah.
You don't have to answer.
Why are we here? Okay.
We're here because that's where Hashem wants us. Hashem wants us. We don't have a choice. He wanted us there. He bring us there.
All the people who live there, you mean they're there by mistake?
No, Hashem wants them there. Hashem knows what he's doing. He didn't drop the ball.
Yeah. On a very simple level, everybody makes a decision in their life. Now, we all know that obviously, Rav Moshe, let's do Rav Moshe first, then we'll go to your question because it'll put a little bit of context into your question. Kasev b'shalos t'shuvas igros Moshe. Nezra chelik aleph simkuf beis zel lishon. Well, Derek Shailovsky is referring to a question someone's asking him about the mitzvah of living in Eretz Yisrael, and he says, "Yinei rov haposkim savri." Majority of opinions of poskim hold the whole mitzvah. Yes, it's a mitzvah to be in Eretz Yisrael. Avol. She'ein zeh b'zman hazeh. Right now, that mitzvah is not mitzvah chiyuvis. Sha'al haguf. It's not a mitzvah chiyuvis. It's on the person. The imkein ha'imemela nimtzah she'asu lader b'chutz la'aretz. If that would be the case, it would be also to live here. There's two types of mitzvahs. There's something called the mitzvah chiyuvis, and there's something called the mitzvah kiyumis. What's the difference? A mitzvah chiyuvis is something which we have to do now. A person has to say Kriya Shema, Erev Avoker. You're mechuyev to. You have to eat matzah on Pesach, the first night. Something that you have to do. If you're wearing a beged shel dalet kanvas, if you have a four-cornered garment that you're wearing, you have to have tzitzis on it. That's chiyuvis. You have to do it. Then there's something called the mitzvah kiyumis. All the other days of Pesach, you don't have to eat matzah. But if you want to eat anything with flour and water, it has to be matzah. It can't be chametz. You're not required to eat. On the third day of Chol Hamoed, you don't have to have matzah. If you do it, though, you get a mitzvah. Kiyumis. If you do it, you fulfill it. There's no chiyuv. If a guy doesn't eat matzah on the third day of Pesach, on Chol Hamoed, he didn't do any aveira. If you don't have a beged shel dalet kanvas, you don't have a garment with four corners. So min ha-Torah, the person is not going against the Torah. He's not being mevatel any mitzvah, because the mitzvah min ha-Torah is to put tzitzis on four corners. Now, tzitzis is a little different because of smag. The poskim over time, in earlier times, kind of created it to be a type of chiyuv. It's like an in-between. Although the Torah wasn't machayiv, it became the way of klai so that we do. B'dafka, put on a beged shel dalet kanvos to bring ourselves to a chiyuv, to have the tzitzis on. But min ha-Torah, it's a mitzvah kiyumis. When you have the beged shel dalet kanvos, then you're mechayiv. To do it now, to go find the beged, to put tzitzis, that would be more like kiyumis. So he says, living in Eretz Yisrael is a mitzvah that if you go there, you're being Makayim a mitzvah. But here in Chutz La'aretz, You're not mechuyev to get up now and go, because if that would be the case, it would be usher to live in chutz la'aretz. Mishim she'over al asay. A person's being mavat al asay b'chol rega every moment. Come on, mishayabush beged shel daled kavos. If a person has a four-cornered garment, below tzitzis, there's no tzitzis on it. Sheish iser lil bo, she's not allowed to wear it, because by wearing it that way, kedei shel yaver al asay the tzitzis, he's being mavatal the mitzvah asay of tzitzis. Well, his iser, where we do find an iser with this regard, in this regard, is hadar beretz, a person who does live in Eretz Yisrael. So that person shasa lotzis amanas lishkom b'chutz la'aretz. Yes, in Shas and probably we find that there is an iser for them to come live in chutz la'aretz. Ram and Perikim Malachim Halachates. That's one thing. V'gam ken avade in an iser lav, and even that's not an iser lav. If the iser applied for us to stay here and not move to Eretz Yisrael, the Rambam shouldn't have just been speaking about people who live there, that they can't move here. He should have said, "Asur stam lishkom b'chutz la'aretz." You can't live in chutz la'aretz. Elam kein chazak b'Eretz Yisrael harav, unless there's a hunger there. V'cholu masha derak liyoshvei Eretz Yisrael yesh iser. The people who live there, there's an iser to come back. Shasach chachamim al mitzad hasei in a chiyuv v'salik shadar sham mekayim mitzvah. There's no chiyuv. It's when a person goes there, they're mekayim mitzvah.
Back to our original question, by going there for one moment, you live there, you're not allowed to leave. That's like the Bible Rebbe, he said. You said if I go there, I can never come back. That's what he's saying, basically. If we visit, we're stuck.
Questions are just getting harder. We didn't live there. The person who went Amanas Lahachser never really lived there.
Definition of living.
Yeah, but Amanas Lahachser, going with the intention of coming back, is not living. And obviously, people who do come back, obviously everybody has their shilas, and this is not meant to be halacha l'maisa. We're being dorish. Dorish ain't law, we're being dorish tzion. Tov? Okay. In ending, there's a woman who grew up in Leningrad. Her name was Rachel Zamir. And she lived through the Holocaust, and after Baruch Hashem she survived. And she recalls her memories of her mother, her favorite memory of growing up. That even though if they would be caught doing any mitzvah, it would be straight to Siberia. And she remembers one of her favorite things was Friday night. And Friday night, the mother would put out some chairs in one room, and in other sitting areas in another room. They had a couch in one room. And the night would start off as they would all pack bundles, and they would go sit on the chairs. They sit on the chairs, and the mother would say, "Okay, we're on our way now. We're starting the journey to Yerushalayim." And they would sit on the living room chairs, and she would say, "Okay, this is going to be the train that's going from Leningrad to Odessa. It's the first part of the journey before they could get to a ship. Everyone, get in your seats, give your tickets in. We're heading to Odessa." Then after a little while of being there and imagining and having fun with each other, they then moved off the chairs and they went to the next one. They went onto a couch. And mother said, "Okay, everybody, the train arrived. We're now getting onto a ship and we're going to Jaffa port. We're going to Jaffa. We're going on the ship to Eretz Yisrael." And they would sit there. And the mother would then tell them as they were on the ship and they were getting seasick on the couch, the mother would say to them, "We're going to Eretz Yisrael. You know, in Eretz Yisrael, there's more oranges than potatoes." It was in Leningrad. More oranges than potatoes. And she says that the simcha we had was, she said, you can't imagine. The simcha we had in those moments, we were mamish on the ship. It was Kilo, we were there. And she said, and that's how they grew up, with their mother talking that way. And then the boat gets to Yerushalayim, and as soon as it gets to Jaffa, and as soon as they get to Jaffa, they get onto camels, they get onto, however they're traveling, they go straight to Yerushalayim. And they get to Yerushalayim just in time to meet Eliyahu Navi, who's announcing the coming of Mashiach. And they're hugging their cousins, and they're hugging their mishpach, and they're dancing for joy of the arrival of Mashiach. She says this was the experience we had growing up. And she said we had it every Friday night, and it was the best. It was the best. She said sadly the Nazis came, and her mother was nifter. Her mother was taken, the neshama was taken. She said, but me and my siblings, Baruch Hashem, we were able to live our mother's dream and our dream. And she says, and it was the best trip ever. They were in Leningrad. They were there. They were in Leningrad, but they had Gaguim. Their hearts were there. Tzion hi dorish ein la. They were being dorish tzion. And the mother's tefillas and the mother's bakashas helped that the child got there. We should all be zocheh to get there to Yisrael b'karov. And even though, like the Amshon of a Rebbe's father said, that he eventually went there to Am Shrav Rebbe, the present one's father. And he said that when he got to Eretz Yisrael, he said what he missed most was yearning to go to Eretz Yisrael. We should be yearning for Eretz Yisrael, but when we get to Eretz Yisrael, we shouldn't miss the yearning for it. Moshe Rabbeinu should be there. Aaron HaKohen, all of our previous mishpachas. We should be zocheh to the Gula Shlema from Heir B'Yameinu.
Amen.